So I'm going to go for a walk this morning. You can see it's kind of frosty morning here. We got a little frost on the mullein leaves, and I'm just going to kind of look around. I brought some bags with me, so if I need to do some collecting, I can do that. And anyway, I'm probably going to, because I'm just leaving right now, so and going off, so I'll probably be coming back this way, so I think I'll come back and collect a few of these, and I'm probably going to go for the more small ones. While these big ones are gorgeous and just lovely, the mullein, I'm probably going to go for a few small ones. I use mulleins in steams or in baths if you have somebody who has an upper respiratory infection or clogged lungs. It's not really, it does a little bit to help get rid of an infection. It has a little bit of an antibacterial properties, but of course there are much more antibacterial properties. Hey, there. But the main thing that mullein does is it helps reduce swelling. If you have an ear infection, you can put it into your ear and it will take the swelling down, and then you can pour like a garlic oil into it, and the garlic oil will actually be a better antibacterial and kill off the bacteria that is making you have an ear infection. But if you put a little mullein oil, especially mullein flower oil, though the leaves do work, they're just not as powerful as the flowers. You can it'll help take the swelling down. It's also very good if you have sometimes if you got babies that just can't stop coughing because they got a lot of phlegm in their lungs or throat. You can take them in, adults work too, take them into a bathroom and you steam, you put them in with the hot shower. Well, if you put a little of the mullein leaves on the bottom of the shower so that the shower's hitting them, then that's really great. And you can also just do it as simple, you boil some water in a pan, just at the end you toss in a couple of these leaves and cover it with a cloth, let it sit for 10-15 minutes, and then take that cloth and stick it over your head and breathe the vapors in. Some people even talk about using it for a smoke, to do the same thing, to open your lungs up. It helps kind of open up your lungs and makes it a little easier to breathe if you've been, if you've had a lung infection or, kind of an upper respiratory infection. I myself don't usually do the smoke. I know many healers do, and that's fine, but I myself usually try a steam first. The smoke gets it in at a larger amount, while the steam is a little less of amount, but most people find the steam to be a little less irritating than the smoke. And if you want to do a smoke, you just simply take them, and if you've ever made a smudge bundle, you take these guys, kind of dry them a little bit so that, it's best to get them after the frost has melted off for the day. And then roll them up and dry them in a bundle, and then you can just simply light the bundle, blow it out, and breathe the smoke in that way. That usually is the easiest way, but I find that tends to irritate some people's lungs, and the last thing you want to do with somebody who's got an upper respiratory infection is have their lungs be irritated. That's why I tend to go with the steam. So like I said, just a handful of dried leaves, and you can dry these leaves just the same way you do any other leaves. You pick them off. I'm not going to, because this guy's still photosynthesizing, but you pick it off and you hang it in a nice dark, airy spot until it dries, and then you've got your dry leaf that you can just put over anything that, just throw in some water, throw in the bottom of your bathtub if you're running a hot shower for a steam. That sometimes works really good for babies, because you can sit on the floor of your bathroom and just hold the baby and let the steam envelop take over the whole room and envelop you, and that's always nice. So anyway, mullein, and I'm going to collect some of that. I've got a lot of it, but this is such a pretty pair here. I might grab a couple leaves out of it. I see that I've got another one here. I might grab a few leaves. Like I said, I don't take them all. I'll just take a few of the smaller ones out of the middle and hang them up for drying, for using during the cold and flu season. Down here in the woods we have this little plant. You can see it. It can get to be a very large plant. Here's a slightly bigger leaf. They're a little bit wilted from the frost, but this plant has a wonderful antifreeze in it that actually, do you hear that? That's a pileated woodpecker, or pileated woodpecker. And this, so when it starts warming up, the leaf will take on its structure again and be much more solid than this. And that, if you're going to pick it, is the best time. This is garlic mustard. It is a member of the mustard family. It's also called Jack of the Hedge, mustard of the hedge. There's a lot of different things that it's called. It has a heart, not because it's kind of wilted, you can't really see, but it's got kind of a heart-shaped leaf. With a deep lobe right here. That's because when you usually see something like that, the stem will usually have a groove to it, and that's because when it rains, it allows the water to collect almost like a funnel, and it goes straight down the tube to the roots of the plant. Garlic mustard is a huge survivor. It's an invasive here in Wisconsin, and we have a hard time getting rid of it. It can take over almost anywhere. It can take over a river edge, it can take over a woodlot. I mean, we're in a woodlot here. It can take over a field. It really doesn't have a habitat it's not good at growing at. And because it has this built-in antifreeze, it stays green all winter, so it kind of gives it an extra edge. So while the other plants are just struggling up from their roots in the spring, these guys are already green and growing. Garlic mustard makes excellent pesto. In fact, eating-wise, garlic mustard pesto is probably the best way of doing it. It has a very distinct garlic smell, and it does have the garlic taste, but it also has a slightly bitter taste to it too. But in garlic pesto, you mix it with a little olive oil and cheese, and we use walnuts here because our pine trees don't make giant pine nuts. But however, whatever kind of nuts, and it seems to take that bitterness away, and I very much like it. And you can find garlic mustard, like I said, it does have that built-in antifreeze. It stays green all winter. And if you look at the base of trees, like right here, a lot of these trees will melt, the snow will melt off of them in the wintertime. The first day it's like right up against it, and then very quickly the snow melts off, especially on the south side, like this one here. As you can see, it's the south side because you can see my shadow. And this time of the year, if you're seeing a shadow, more than likely you're standing to the south of whatever you're looking at. And so these ones that are closer to the base of the tree will be, you'll be able to get to those without digging or anything. And garlic mustard has some of the same medicinal qualities that garlic does, and that mustard does. I use the root. I'll dig up the root a lot of times and clean them off and everything, and throw a handful of them into my fire cider. It helps make the fire cider just that much stronger. It's a good antimicrobial that it's good as a steam, it's good as a tincture. And anyway, so it's good. It's not the greatest. Garlic itself, it has much more of the antimicrobials than the garlic mustard does. But the garlic mustard is really, it's a good thing to know. And the more we harvest it, one of the major problems with the fact that garlic mustard has taken over and has become such an invasive is because we used to eat it. And so we kept it, we were its predator. We kept it in check. And then at some point in our history, because this is not native to Wisconsin, it came here because somebody brought it for their garden. And then it just took off. And at some point in history, we fell out of it. There's Ziri! She's like, what are you looking at? It's a plant. We fell out of favor with it, and so now we don't eat it anymore. And that we're no longer its predator, so it ran out of check. It's kind of like the white-tailed deer here in Wisconsin. We didn't have very many wolves for a very long time, so our herd got to be so big it started dying. And then with the reintroduction of the wolf, we started getting a more healthy population of white-tailed deer. But with us not being the predator to this, it has tendency of taking over. So the more you eat, the more you go out and harvest of this wonderful little plant, the better it is for the environment. You cannot over-harvest it. It doesn't belong here. So the more you harvest, the better it is. And you don't have to worry about over-harvesting, because if you leave one little bit of the root down there, it'll come back. And these are all from seeds from probably one plant, and you can see we've got a whole line of them. Maybe you guys can't, but there's a whole line of them right through here, right through and that's all from one plant. They're very prolific. They breed really well. So it would be very hard to over-harvest them. We have a garlic mustard festival so that we can get people out cooking them. It's great on pizza. That's another thing it's really good on. Like spinach, except with garlic mustard. Ah, there's Ziri again. So, oh, and she says I'm going to walk back. No, not a guess. So anyway, garlic mustard, and I think we'll be on our way. We're heading up. We're going to go up. You can kind of see there's a ridge here. We're going to go up and over that, and I think I'm going to get to the creek. I don't know if I am or not, but I think I'm going to get to the creek from the backside. But we'll see. I don't know. Yesterday I didn't know where I was walking, and today I don't know where I'm walking. We'll just walk where we go. I thought I'd show you this little bit of green here in the middle of the mostly, you know, there's almost all the leaves are gone here. And this little bit of green is on a buckthorn tree. Buckthorn don't actually have thorns. They have what are called modified branches that kind of stick out a little bit and kind of poke you. That's how they got their name, buckthorn. They tend to grow as a tangle. Oop, in fact, see, one just stuck to me. They tend to grow as a tangle, grow together. And so at one point they were brought here to make fences, and it was supposed to keep the bucks out, keep the deer out of your garden. Come to find out, deer go right through them without a problem, and then we were left with a very invasive plant. And the reason buckthorn is really invasive is because, well, it has male and female plants, and the females have just very prolific with berries. They just put out a ton of berries, and the birds come and eat the berries, and then there's a chemical that the tree gives off that softens stool, and so it makes the birds basically crap out the seeds of the berries before they digest the berries. So then the birds plant them as they're going, because the tree literally makes them have to crap more. And it's a survival technique, and it works really well for the buckthorn. And we can use that too, not the berries. The berries are a little bit too much for us, but the inner bark, this one right here is dead, but the back one, this branch here is dead, or dying anyway. But this back branch here, we can cut the inner bark out of this. Basically you cut through, well here, you just basically make a cut to the top, cut down the side, and this one you don't really even need to do a cut down the side, you just strip it, because we don't care if we kill this tree. And the outer bark is that gray bark, and the inner bark is, I'm not really equipped for doing this because I'm doing this one-handed, is that greenish to yellow bark there. Both the green and the yellow bark work fine for it. So then you just strip that out, and if I had two hands I could just do it for you, but I don't. And you dry that, and you can use that as a stool softener. It works for us just like it works for the birds. If you use the inner bark, it's not as powerful as the berries, so you don't have to worry about getting explosive diarrhea from your stool softener. And just a little piece of it, and you make it into a tea, and that will help soften your stool. And as long as we're out here, before I turn this off, I thought I'd show you this vine here. It's very pretty. It's very unique. It has a lot of hair going up it, and this is a poison ivy vine. And this little vine here is one of its little vines that are growing out from it. If you see a hairy vine, that's a poison ivy vine. Don't be going and messing with it. Don't be touching it. Poison ivy comes in three. It comes as a little plant, it comes as a bush, and it comes as a vine. Vine is where it got its name from, ivy. Hairy vines, not good. Don't touch them. You can have problems with poison ivy. This time of the year I probably wouldn't worry about it so much, except I really don't even want to experiment to see if this time of the year I get poison ivy or not. But anyway, hairy vine, leave it be.